Hi folks, I'm Bill. I invented the Bugout Bungalow. It's a building method comprised of 8 trapezoids in the walls and 8 triangles in the roof. And I'm going to demonstrate assembling one that's 117 square foot. I call it Model 120 because it's under 120 square feet, and most areas won't require a permit for the actual structure. So I'm going to show you in real time assembling this. So this is what the entire building looks like, disassembled. Right now it's in 2 primary stacks, a little over 4 foot wide and 9'6" long. There's some center panels, and there's the door and a couple windows sitting over there. And here's the floor. It's 10'10" by 10'10", gives you less than 120 square feet, which shouldn't require a permit. So we're going to put it together. So this building is meant to be constructed off-site and then assembled on-site. The primary screw I'm using or connector I'm using for the connect the panels together. This is a star drive panhead screw, self-tapping. And then in order to locate the panels right on the corner, I'm going to put a cleat on each corner to locate the panel. So this is a wall panel. You can see how simply it is. There's a trapezoid, there's a 45-degree angle. I have 3 primary, let's call them studs for lack of a better term, or struts or whatever you want to call them, right here and here. Top plate and a bottom plate. I don't know if you can see here, there's 1.5 inches. The plywood runs by, that connects it to the floor joist. This would be a lot easier to do with 2 people. I'm sliding it against my stop. I put a plywood stop on the corner. So this panel will stay more or less in place with just a couple screws holding it at the bottom. But if you heard the phone ring, I stopped to take that call. Slight breeze came up and did knock the panel over. So you can't leave it like this. It's fairly stable, but just for assembly, don't leave it because the wind or whatever could come up. The more screws you put at the bottom, the stronger it's going to be. So anyway, it's interesting to see it fall over. It didn't do any damage. But we're ready for another panel. This building has been assembled before and taken down. Pretty well thrashed. That's how I kind of test these things. This panel's similar, but not exactly the same as the other one. The plywood runs by on the corner and again at the bottom. That's how I connect the panels together. Doesn't need any metal Simpson fittings or anything like that. People recommend it. Yeah, it'll make it stronger. Really isn't necessary. So I'm not putting any Simpson ties or things like that. Put these panels together and connect them to the floor. So there it is. There's a corner. Let's do another one. Putting a cleat in, hold the panel where it goes. I'm going to pre-start some of these screws in the bottom panel so I can stabilize the panel with my other hand. There's existing holes in a couple spots because I put this up before. Make sure it's tight against your stop. I'm removing the stop. Pre-starting screws again. There's another corner. Put another cleat in, or stop actually. Pretty rough with these panels. Beats them up a little bit. I don't recommend you do that. This kind of gives me indication where the weak points, stress points are. Now these panels are pretty heavy, but I'm 67 and I can still horse them around by myself. But it's getting harder as I get older. These panels are extra heavy because I already put cleats or backs on it and some trim pieces. I recommend doing that after assembly. I'm using CDX plywood for siding. And then I put backs on it to make it look cool and to protect the seams. Now these panels could be pre-insulated with rigid foam insulation, styrofoam or polyisocyrenate, which I prefer. It has easier to work with, has better R value, and these can also be pre-panelized. So once you set them up, that you could be basically done with it. Maybe need a little bit of trim on the inside. I have a video showing where I disassembled this whole building, one earlier videos, same exact building, and I just let the roof panels drop and hit the ground. And the only damage done on one of the corners, one of the screws didn't get removed, so a small piece broke over, I think it was in this panel over there. So it was a minor thing and could have easily been prevented. Actually, I didn't remove one of the screws that I should have when I took it apart. Like that. So I'm just going to screw this at the top right now to stabilize it. Pretty secure now. I didn't pull my cleat stop off before I brought this over, so now I just did it. Slide the panel over. Make sure it's snug. So let's do another corner. So that's where I put the stop when my panel slides over. This piece, a trim piece that I didn't take off previously. And like I said, I'd recommend assembling this without any trim on it, just the CDX plywood, and then trim it out later. But this one was installed before, and that's why the trim's on it. So the panel's tight to the stop cleat. So just 2 screws in it. It's pretty secure. More so that way than this way. Just because the way the bottom edge overhangs. So if you don't want to deadlift these panels, it's pretty easy just to walk them over like this. If I want to, I can just drag it up onto the floor at this point. Make sure everything's snug. Okay, so now the four corners are up. This is what I call the primary wall. These spaces in between, whether it's on the small model or the bigger one, I consider it separate. It doesn't really hold, it contributes to the strength of the building, but this will hold the roof up at this point. You can leave this open as a gazebo once you put the roof on. So this is set up so a 30-inch door will pop right in more or less. Same with the windows. I'd say we're ready I'm going to put the gable ends in at the top before I put the roofing on. So that's what I'm going to do next. So these are the gable panels. They're all the same height except for one, which I've cut out to allow the window to go up higher for dramatic effect in the view. And what these do is they'll hold the top of these wall panels together, so they're pretty critical. My driver fell out. Occupational hazard. So as you can see, that's the main walls. So now I have room for my doors and windows. Where there's not a door or window, there'll be a solid panel. Since I'm hanging these by myself, things are real close, they're not perfectly aligned. So now I'm going to come back and fine tune it. There's little gaps at the top. Might free up the bottom, whatever it takes to shove everything tight. Real minor right now. If I had someone else helping me, we'd take care of that as we go. But this basically, the walls are up right now. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the roof on next. I'm going to call this the end of this video for now, so they're not too long and too boring. And this gives you the general idea. This is the walls are up now. Again, this could be pre-panel or pre-insulated, have paneling up, plywood on the inside, wood paneling. I wouldn't recommend drywall. In fact, for these buildings, drywall is nice, it deadens sounds, gives you thermal mass, but it's probably not necessarily the best material for this application if you want to be able to take it down and move it again. This isn't something you're going to want to move every weekend. It's not to go camping in. Maybe seasonally, or let's say you're a renter and you want to you need more storage, a she shed, a man cave, whatever, an office. Put this in your backyard. If you're renting, a few years later you could take it apart and move it again. And that's what these buildings are all about. They're made to be movable. I won't call them portable like you would a tent or something you want to set up every weekend or something. Anyway, that's the walls on a Bugout Bungalow, and I'm going to prep for the next video, which will be the roof.